Yeah, ultimately, I wasn't the decision maker on that. I mean, I was the quarterback coach. That decision was way above my head. I mean, that was an ownership and a head coach and a personnel person decision. But again, as a young coach, what an amazing process to be part of that.
Yeah.
If you remember, like you said, Gus Frerotte did a fantastic job for us that first year. We went 9-7, and candidly, we were 3-7 for the first part of the season. We won our final 6. So, we have to be honest with where we were, but I think we all felt coming out of that season that we were making strides going in the right direction, that Coach Saban was putting a program in place that we felt like could sustain winning for a long time. And, one of the big questions was, okay, is Gus Frerotte the guy? Can he be as good a job as he did this year playing for us? Can he be our guy going forward? He had played for a long time, had been a backup for a long time. Was he a starting quarterback in the NFL that we could win with, go to the playoffs and win a Super Bowl with? And so you pull back as an organization and you say, okay, maybe we need to make another decision here. And the two principal guys were Drew Brees and Daunte Culpepper, both guys coming off an injury. And it was a really fun and interesting process to go through because those guys come in. I can remember we flew to New Orleans on the plane. We picked up Drew Brees and we brought him to Miami, and his wife is there and my wife is there and Coach Saban and his wife and Nick, all the different people who were involved in this decision were there, and we're recruiting him because that's what it was. It was going to be, can we get this guy to sign with us? And I can remember going to Grill 66, a whole group of us, including Wayne Huizenga, and Wayne Huizenga and Drew sat next to each other and talked the whole night. And Wayne candidly said afterwards, he said, you guys got to make the football decision, but I want that guy. He's like, he's an amazing guy. And he was so impressed with who he was. And how can you not be? Drew Brees is literally one of the most legendary guys in the NFL and makes such a great impression on everybody. So, you go through that process, and we all were excited about Drew, what he had done, in high school, state championships in Austin, Texas, goes to Purdue, rewrites the record book there. In San Diego, struggled early, but had a Pro Bowl season under his belt, then has the injuries. So there was so much there to like about him. But he was coming off a serious shoulder injury. And it seemed to me that we were all behind it when it got to that next step of the doctors and then how much we owe him. That's where the whole thing kind of fell apart. Yeah. It was, hey, he has a X% tear of his rotator cuff. We don't know if he's ever going to throw again. He wants X amount of dollars in guarantee. This doesn't all add up. And then all of a sudden, we were on to the next thing. So, however that decision was made among the higher ups, that's what it kind of came down to. There was a real consensus for him. And then all of a sudden it fell apart because they just didn't feel good about the injury relative to the money that we were going to have to spend. And if you think about that decision, how much that would have changed the complexion of the NFL.
Jason, we have thought about that decision.
College football. I mean, I believe Nick Saban left because he felt like in order to win in the NFL, you have to have an elite quarterback. New England was in the middle of the Tom Brady years, and he saw the impact that he had made up to that point. And it's like, can we get a guy like this? Yeah. And it's not quite so easy. When you're in college, you go recruit the guy. Here you have to draft and draft right and be at the high part of the draft or whatever it was. But, if Drew Brees had come to Miami, and there's no guarantee he would have had the same career that he had in New Orleans, but he probably would have been pretty good. And maybe Nick Saban doesn't leave, and maybe the complexion of college football.
All right, that's enough, Jason. That's enough, Jason. That's enough.
I don't like
it's amazing.
It is amazing. The story is amazing, but I'm torn between being a podcast host who is captivated by this story and sick to my stomach as a person.
Oh my God!
For all this time, what an incredible story! God, that's great stuff.
That's so good,
and then the next part of the decision is the Daunte Culpepper part, and OJ, you said it. I mean, Daunte was a fantastic player in Minnesota. And, one of the real concerns with him, though, was such a big part of his game, as we all remember, was his ability to extend plays and run and move and stand back in the pocket and ward guys off and launch the ball down the field and come out on the move. I mean, he made 5, 6, 7, 10, 12 plays with his feet every game. And there were dynamic plays. And he has a knee injury where his entire knee gets reconstructed, and all of a sudden he's going to have to be a pocket passer. So the question becomes, okay, we can't have Brees. Is this the right thing to do for your team? Again, relative to his knee injury. When you put the tape on from 2 years ago, he was phenomenal. He was a Pro Bowl player, threw 39 touchdowns. He was off the charts. But is he the same guy? And did the knee injury make him a completely different player and one that couldn't play at that same level? And that's really what we found out. He never was the same guy.
Yeah, no doubt.
Man. Roller coaster ride here, Juice.
I couldn't ask for a better explanation of all that, Big Seth. That is so good, man. It makes total sense, bro. And it's nice to be.
It might be the best one we've ever heard. It might be the best.
Sure.
Thank you for sharing that. Holy smokes, man! I'm gathering myself here after that one, Jason.
But again, the other part of it is that's one guy's perspective. That's from where I was sitting as the quarterback coach.
Sure.
If you ask Nick Saban, he's in conversations that I'm not in. If we could bring Wayne Huizenga back, all of those guys were in the high level conversations. But from my perspective, that's how the whole thing unfolded. And we're like, okay, no Brees. We're going to the next one.
What's next?
Right.
Yeah.